Hola, buenos días a todos. Bienvenidos a un seminario más del Centro de Estudios en Derechos Humanos. En esta ocasión tenemos con nosotros a Thais Lazzeri. Ella es reportera aquí en Brasil. Y el seminario en esta ocasión se llevará a cabo en inglés. Para quien así lo desee, es posible que agreguemos los subtítulos en español después del seminario, pero por favor háganos llegar la petición usando el hashtag DDHchat o a través del chat que está disponible en YouTube. Welcome everyone to the seminar. We are very happy to have Thais today with us. She is an amazing reporter here in Sao Paulo, Brazil. She just won the Human Rights Prize for his piece on violence against women. She's been working the last couple of weeks on a project on modern slavery, and she has more than 10 years of experience in journalism, so we're very, very excited to have her. And Thais, welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm really glad to, it's my first time here. I'm really glad to have you here all. Okay, thank you. I've been working in newsrooms like more than 10 years. And I think when you do what you love, it's really, really amazing. And that's the point. I'm always following this dream about the reporting about society and human rights.
Thais, probably a few questions already, but the first one to start, nowadays journalism is by far one of the most risky professions you can choose, especially in Latin America, especially in Brazil. Why do it? Why would someone risk so much on an everyday basis?
Well, I think we have a lot to discuss, but the first point is the newsrooms and the governors can't protect journalists nowadays. And you have situations, specific situations. For example, in Brazil, you have, I'm sorry. You have some. You have some points here in Brazil, but for example, in Mexico, it's all about violence. In Brazil, you have the north the same problem, especially. But the thing is, we don't have laws to protect us. Newsrooms don't know how to do that, and the governors, well, seems to be it's not really important right now. I just wrote some things yesterday when I was thinking about this, and when you see the numbers, Brazil is in the fourth on the list, and Latin America, you have a hard situation for journalists, but you also have in other countries. And for example, if you're a freelancer, you're alone. So yeah, and today you have many chances. For example, last year, more than 1,000 journalists were fired. So you have good journalists, you have people that love what they do, and they really want to continue doing that, and they are doing just alone as a freelancer. And as a freelancer, you don't have any protect at all.
And one of the things I in particular was interested in asking you was about the additional risks of being a female reporter. I don't know if there are any, if there are more complications, more levels of complexity in this field.
Yeah, I think we are in a in a good moment for women. We are discussing and we are talking. But the point is, we are women. We feel the thing differently. I always told my boss, when you go out at night, you don't have our fear. That's the point. When you're talking about, for example, a really hard situation in one of the states of Brazil, one of the points when you're discussing the article is, you're a woman, it's not a good place to be. So, yeah, being a woman, it's hard. And, sometimes it could be more difficult. Yeah, but we have to try. That's the point. If we say no, or we say, okay, send another journalist in my place, things won't change. Yeah. And I really think it's different to have a woman and a man doing the report, just because we see the things different. That's not the point. I have disability and you don't have this. No, I'm a woman. You're a man.
Guys, I was wondering if you can tell us a bit more about the current project you're working on modern slavery, and what your views are on how journalism can actually help to protect human rights.
Yeah. I have started in Repórter Brasil for last month. Yeah, I started the last like 2 months now, and it's a really incredible opportunity, because when you are in a traditional newsroom, you are competing with everyone, and talking about slavery is really hard. Find space to talk about this. Yeah, so that's an opportunity to talk about things I couldn't cover in my last job. I was a reporter society at Época magazine, and now and another point that's really interesting, it's about thinking about the victims in another way, because when you generally when you have this imagination, what we can say about the victims, you're always looking and you have, they don't have possibilities, they are always alone, and you rethink everything, including the victims in the whole world. So it's been really good. We are working in a big project that about traditional communities, of course, about slavery and work, and it's a program, a project that we are having thanks to for the foundation. So it's really good.
Guys, we have a question here. If you could expand more about how journalists should work with victims or address victims, and the relationship between journalists and victims when reporting human rights cases.
When you say victims, you're...
Yeah, I think this was about like the project on modern slavery, or when you're reporting any other kind of human rights violations and abuses. If you happen to be interviewing victims of such abuses, like how, as journalists, you establish that relationship, and I don't know, precautions you have to take, perhaps?
Yeah. As a journalist, I say that every time I think, is this person lying to me or not? Even when they're talking about victims or not. If when they're talking about governors, yes, because our job is always to keep the doubts here. Is he telling the truth? Is she telling the truth? Why this? Because I think when you're looking to a history, you're a better journalist when you keep on your work. Yeah, of course, it's really hard to listen some histories. For example, 2 years ago, yeah, I'm always handling with tough situations. But 2 years ago, I was writing about a woman, and she was deaf, and she was delivering, and well, it was just a mess. And after more than 2 hours of interview, I couldn't do anything. I had to step away. I was in the newsroom. I cried a lot, and then I came back to continue the article, because we are people. We have feelings. But the point is, I'm a better journalist when I'm not involved. For me, it's easier. I see the situation. I can make the right questions. I can make better questions and tell a better history when I'm not emotionally involved. It's really hard.
And Thais, could you tell us a bit more about the project for which you won the prize, the Human Rights Prize?
Yeah, it was an award because we had a tragic situation in Rio de Janeiro last year. A woman, the news, the first news about that was that woman was raped by 33 men in a community in Rio de Janeiro. And we all knew this history just because the video, a man did a video and put it on Twitter. So when I saw all that material I was keeping in the newsroom, we have to do something about that. Oh, but and you always have these situations. You are fighting for a good story, and when I saw that women's story, I knew we should talk about that, and it was like a 2-day work, and we worked really hard, and I had 2 other journalists with me from Rio, and we made a team, and we were the unique magazine in Brazil that covered the history as we all should. So it was our cover, and the cover was that in every 11 minutes a woman is raped in Brazil. So it's really hard, and it was incredible to have that job, because when you feel, wow, I did the right thing. That's I think that's the mission of journalism. And yeah, the prize was perfect, and can you imagine? I couldn't imagine. But the award came 1 week after I was fired. And it was really, yeah, it was incredible, because when you were, yeah, I told more than 1,000 journalists were fired last year. I was one of them. And when you're fired, you are always, did I do the right job? Did I choose the right thing for me? Yeah, because in my career I always made the same choice. The choice was to be a reporter. The choice was to talk about society and human rights. And you were fired. You started asking all these questions, and then the prize came. So yeah, I was in the right way.
I'm sure you are actually. We have one question here about how to pick a good story of human rights, since there are so many things happening, and it's sad, but so many human rights being abused daily. How do you choose what to report, what is worth reporting? What's the criteria?
Yeah, one of my criteria is find a person that shows a huge problem in Brazil. I started with this case, and then I developed all the other things about this topic. For example, we are talking about rights on delivery on rights, and or another one that came. Let me think. Well, we have the situation on Complexo do Curado, is a prison in Pernambuco, and you had to do a good story about that. You always had violence in prison. You always have problems with defenders. We always have problems in human rights. But specifically in this case, you have prisoners selling cells for more than $2,000. So you had a store there, and you could. What I did, I started talking about this specific point because we didn't have anything like that, and then I talked about all the others violations. So, yeah.
And how do you keep people interested? Because I assume that's one of the problems when, as a reporter, you work on human rights. Like, how do you make people still care?
Yeah, that's a point. When you talk about lives, people's life, I think, I know when people care. That's the point. If you say something on the internet, for example, about about a history of someone, you're going to receive, oh, I want to help. And when I'm writing the articles, I want that people feel the drama, put themselves there. So when I'm constructing the article, that's something really important for me. When you finish the article, you say, oh my God, I need to do something. I can't live with this information. That's the way I feel when I do the interviews. I always think, I can't keep this to me. People should know. We have to change.
And this is probably from someone starting. What specific advice could you give to people who is just thinking about journalism as a way to help human rights or protect human rights? And yes, if there is any specific advice or any suggestion at all?
About, well, the first thing when you talk, it's really difficult to talk about human rights on traditional newsrooms, but it's important to have someone that think like that. This is the kind of journalist that will never end. And for me, of course, society and reporting is the most amazing thing. So you have to know that it's going to be hard, but it's incredible. And the thing is, you should always think about human rights. Being a journalist, you have to think about that, because everyone wants to tell the history, but but your job is she or is he telling me the truth? For everyone. Because they're gonna do a better job, including for this person. And the other thing is you have many new newsrooms, especially here in Brazil, doing amazing jobs. And I think you could look for that. Look for this.
What's been your most rewarding experience in these 10 years?
Wow. Curado Curado is a good example. The prison, yeah, because I've always wanted to talk about prisoners, because you generally think, well, let's start talking about Roraima, what's happened how here in Brazil. If you go to internet, you see terrible things, including for governors. Yeah, people that should care for them because they're people, they have the same rights. But when you see the prison, you just think, oh, they're spending money. No, they should have doing a better job. And you have people there. And it's okay. They don't vote, they don't count. So when I started talking about Curado, and my chief was Guilherme Evelyn, and I had to draw to then understand what was the drama inside the prison, because you have cells inside walls, like big holes, and the man just sleep there, and yeah, and you had other situations like construction material came in with the families, and they built the cells inside the prison and sell them for $2,000. And you had people that sleep in place out of the cells, so it's a completely chaos. And it's just the same nowadays. But now people know, and the article I knew is helping some people fighting for their rights there. So it's really good when you have an article. For example, many articles I wrote are using in the justice system to help the victims. I didn't write the article for that. It's not the mission. I wasn't writing the article for the victim, but when you explain the whole situation and write something, sometimes you have months for the same history. They are using in the system, in the justice, to help them. And whoa, it's journalism. It's our mission.
And the most difficult moment?
The most difficult moment. One of the most difficult moments, I had two. One of them, when I came to Kiss, is in Santa Maria, 242 is to adults, young people died in a club, and the name in the so something terrible. And I met with the survivors, and also the parents, the relatives that survived from their daughter or son death. And it's really hard. One of them, Jacqueline, a mother, she didn't want to talk to me. And after some weeks, she said yes. And when I met her, I completely understood it. She told me that since the day of the death of her son, her husband stopped talking with her. They're divorced now. And the words of her husband were, "I couldn't save him." Can you imagine something like that? Yeah, even now, telling this, it's hard. And the other situation was a woman from Rio de Janeiro. Uh, she was the only person that she's the mother, and she wasn't in the house when the rain started, and she lost three, two, a daughter, two sons, and more 5 people. When she went to the house, her son was trying to survive. She saw when they took them from, and she just waited him dying in the hospital. I don't know how this mom continue living, but you learn a lot with these people. That's the other wonderful thing in journalism. You can be a better person every day. You are changing every day because these histories are so powerful. I think it's a gift to be a better person thanks to this people that you enter in their lives and just open everything and talk about dramatic situations, hoping that you're going to give them voice. The point is, give them voice. They won't talk.
No, that's an amazing job, Thais.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I love journalism. That's why I keep going, and I can't imagine another profession for me. I don't know.
Thais, I have a question here, and I think it's related to what you said previously about how it's difficult in kind of certain outlets, like more traditional outlets, to publish things about human rights. And the question is, what is the responsibility of the mainstream media to human rights, and if by not wanting to report them, can they be held some kind of like they become in a way part of the responsibles of these violations, if they have some sort of responsibility on it?
Well, I think it's difficult, but all the media are doing this. For example, I work 3 weeks in Folha de São Paulo, and I told them about an article I wanted to publish. It's about a man that is looking for his son for like 8 months. He disappeared, and this man, José, just started walking for all the country, try to look for Clayton, is the name of his son. And when I knew Jose, it was like in the start of last year, in the beginning of last year. I started looking for the situation of people that would disappear here in Brazil, and it's covered a bit something. It's another dramatic situation. The relatives, the parents are always alone. No one's help hand. Yeah, and this history was published, and we have something just moving and modifying here in Sao Paulo. It's if your son or daughter disappear here now, it's gonna be a little bit easier to try to find them, but that's the point. We should all care for this, but you have like in the others areas of journalists, you have to fight. That's not the point. Oh, someone isn't right. What's going on? So fight for this article. Find the numbers. Find people. And find a good history to be published. That's the point. Not every history is going to be published. No, even in politics, economics, no, you don't have every situation. So, being a reporter, yeah.
And I think this is a very good question because we hear you and we hear this amazing work, but what can we do as consumers of news, as readers, as society? What can we do to help journalists to report more, to report better human rights stories? Like, what is our job?
For example, I'm going to talk about Repórter Brasil. You can help institutions like Repórter Brasil do a better journalism. Continue doing an incredible journalism. Yeah, you have how to help them. Yeah, you can. Yeah, support them. So the other point is you can try to find these people that are looking for these histories. And civic society has a huge power. If you are together, the point is, if you are together, but thinking about society, what do our society want? Yeah, so you have to pick the good histories. Try to be a better person. Yeah, because it's all about who we are and the world we want to live. You can always try to find good histories. Yeah, we have a lot of good histories. For example, New Yorker, The Atlantic, Intercept, Repórter Brasil. Yeah, people in traditional newsrooms are doing this great job. So try to find it and thinking about supporting them, sharing with money. You can support these institutions. Yeah, you have to support good journalism. Yeah, we do. It's an incredible job, but we need money to do that. Yeah, when you when you think about the the money inside the new rooms, the money don't come as it was in the last decade, the last 10 years. It's not the same. So people should pay for good journalism. You see what went in the United States. Yeah, after the election, people just started supporting journalism. So we have to do the same here in Brazil and Latin America. If you want the good stories, if you want to know what is happening inside their country, what's happening to people, you have to support journalists. You have to support journalists. We need money. That's the point. We need money to do our job.
And that is probably the last question on the time we have. It's some sort of predictions, like what's going to be like the biggest human rights stories in Latin America this year? Do you think it will still be violence against women? Will still be like the same kind of themes, or do you think it will be a change? There will be new stories?
Well, I think we have a women issues. It's the one of the topics of the year. Yeah, 2 years ago when I interviewed one of the men that created Occupy Wall Street, and he told me that the movement he wouldn't do it again. And he told me that because you have to, you need people that suffer the violence to keep it going. When you talk about women, we suffer it every day in many ways. So we are going to continue asking for equal rights. That's an important issue. The other one, I think, it's about prisoners. Yes, here in Brazil, and drugs. The relationship, well, it's really hard, and we have this situation all over Latin America. Think about Mexico, for example. Yeah, it's really hard too.
Thais, thank you so much for an amazing conversation. We will keep the chat open for more questions for people who will be watching this in the retransmission later, and we will send them to you as they come.
Of course, please, if you please write if you want. I'm also available on I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, and please send the questions if you want to talk, and if you want to share something, or if you want to tell a good history. Yes, I'm here. I'm really excited about journalism, and it's going to be a pleasure help others, friends from all over the country to do a better job.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, everyone. We will then open the chat for a little bit more, and thank you, Thais, for watching us, and everyone, we will see you next seminar.
Okay, thank you very much.